In a world where it feels like every strategy can be copied, every piece of tech can be matched, what's the one thing that's left? What's the one advantage that actually grows over time instead of shrinking? Well, today we're diving into the most powerful and maybe the most invisible engine for success: trust. And this isn't some fluffy, feel-good idea. This is about finance, it's about speed, and it's about building an edge that is almost impossible to beat.
So let's just start with a really big question. If you take a company that's been around for decades and you strip everything away, the products, the marketing, even the leaders, what's the one thing that keeps it going? What's the fuel that powers it forever?
Your first thought might be, well, it's the products, right? But think about it. Products get old, markets shift, tech changes, and what was revolutionary yesterday is just a commodity today. So, nope, it's not the products.
Okay, then what about the marketing budget? The ability to just buy attention? Sure, you can buy awareness. You can probably even fake some momentum for a little while. But what you can't buy is genuine belief. So no, it's not the ad spend either.
The real answer, the thing that lasts, is trust. And here's a great way to think about it. Trust is like the compound interest of human alignment. It's this invisible force that takes a bunch of smart individuals and turns them into one powerful, coordinated team. It's what turns customers into fans. It is the only asset a company has that actually gets more valuable over time.
All right, let's get practical. How does a soft concept like trust actually show up in the hard numbers on a spreadsheet? Because believe me, it absolutely does. Trust has a direct, and I mean direct, measurable impact on your bottom line.
This slide really lays it all out. In a low-trust culture, everything just costs more. Everything is harder. You're swimming through friction and delays. People hoard information to protect themselves. You get what I call collaboration theater. Those endless meetings where everyone talks but nothing actually gets decided. But then you look at high-trust cultures, and it's a completely different world. You get speed, you get transparency, and you get real autonomy, which is what actually fuels momentum and innovation.
And this quote just nails it perfectly. Trust is efficiency without pressure. It's the ability to get things done without someone constantly looking over your shoulder. It's moving fast without the heavy hand of micromanagement. It's what happens when belief replaces bureaucracy.
And all of this leads to this kind of ideal state, what you could call a self-governing advantage. This is the goal. It's where the culture itself becomes the manager, guiding what people do without needing a giant rulebook or a complex chain of command.
So what do we mean by a self-governing culture? It's pretty simple, really. It's a company where people operate based on a set of shared principles. They don't need a manager breathing down their neck because the values themselves show them the right way to go. And that combination of freedom and alignment, wow, it's almost unbeatable.
So how does this actually work in practice? Well, first, the values set the boundaries. Everyone just knows what good looks like. Second, that shared understanding, that trust, is what enables real autonomy. It lets teams make decisions without having to run every little thing up the flagpole. And finally, and this is the key, belief replaces control. People follow the principles not because they have to, but because they genuinely want to.
But here's the thing. This kind of culture doesn't just happen. It doesn't appear out of thin air. It has to be built on purpose. And for any leader out there, there's actually a pretty clear blueprint for how to do it.
And here's the formula. Leadership is clarity times consistency times care. And I need you to notice the multiplication signs. They are critical. Because if any one of these three things is zero, the entire result is zero. You absolutely cannot build trust without all three working together.
So first up, clarity. And this is so important. This is not about those fuzzy value words you see on a poster in the lobby like integrity. This is about creating actionable frameworks people can actually use. So for example, a clear principle isn't do the right thing. It's we optimize for long-term customer outcomes over short-term revenue. See the difference? That's a rule someone can use to make a tough call.
Next up is consistency. And this right here is the real test. This is where you prove you actually mean what you say, especially when it's hard. Do you stick to your values when it might cost you a big deal? Or when you have to fire a top performer who's just a terrible cultural fit? That's when people see it's real. That's where belief is forged.
And finally, there's care. And this is all about seeing your people as humans to be developed, not as resources to be squeezed for every last drop of productivity. When you really invest in your team's long-term growth, you're making deposits into a trust account that will pay you back for years and years to come. Now, when you get those three things right, clarity, consistency, and care, you create this incredibly powerful self-reinforcing engine.
The culture starts to generate its own momentum, and it just compounds that belief and trust over time.
You can see how this flywheel works. It all starts with belief in the mission, in the leadership. That belief creates trust. Trust is what allows leaders to grant real autonomy. That autonomy is what unleashes innovation, which leads to actual progress. And when people see that progress, well, it just generates even more belief. And the whole cycle starts over again, but stronger every single time.
And look, this isn't just some quaint old-school idea. It is more critical right now than ever before. Why? Because in the age of AI, your company's culture is basically its operating system. Every algorithm you deploy, every chatbot you build, it's all being trained on your culture. It's reflecting your values back to the world, whether you meant for it to or not.
And that brings us to the ultimate takeaway here. In a world where everything is changing so fast, culture is the last defensible moat. It is the one thing your competition can't just go out and buy.
I mean, really think about it. A competitor can copy your product's features, they can probably match your pricing, they might even be able to hire away a few of your people. But what they cannot do is replicate the thousands of consistent, values-driven decisions made over years that built a deep well of trust in your organization. That is your unique, uncopyable advantage.
So as we wrap this up, the question you should be asking yourself isn't about your product roadmap or your marketing budget. It's this: right now, today, is your culture an asset that's compounding all of your efforts, or is it a liability that's putting a tax on everything you do? Because in the end, that's the one thing you can never outrun.